All right, it's 8 o'clock. Sandra, why don't you kick us off here?
Absolutely. So, should we give a couple of minutes and allow people to go for a cup of coffee or whiskey or
Nah, let's
water?
go.
We
Let's
go
go.
for it. Okay,
Yeah, let's
awesome.
go for it.
Awesome. Well, everybody, thank you very much for joining us. Welcome. We are streaming for you live from the United States, Prague, and Ireland. My name is Sandra Oliveira. I'm going to be your MC today. I am the Business Development Director here at Nimdzi. I would like to start by answering a question that we get very often. Many people ask us, how do we pay the bills? And the answer to that is easy: subscriptions and consultancy. So if you want to know more, just reach out to us and we'll be happy to chat.
I thought you were going to say
Now,
barely. We barely pay the bills.
so please, we really need you to call us. So today, who are going to be your hosts is Stoker Johnson. He's our managing director and co-founder, and Konstantin, who is our chief of research. We will take you through a brief story of TMSs. We will show you as well how to compare TMS step by step by the functionality they offer using the tool that we developed, enabling you then to compare TMS side by side. Before we start, let me give you a couple of housekeeping items. Feel free to post any questions at any time during the presentation in the comments, either in Facebook or YouTube. We'll be answering them as we go. And if we are not able to do so, we will just get back to you. A few of you have also emailed us a couple of questions, so we will make sure to be answering a few questions as well at the end. We will be also, we're available in social media, so please go ahead and follow us. We are in Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Google Plus, everything. Just go ahead and click subscribe. The hashtag for the webinar is hashtag Nimdzi_insights, and the Twitter handle is at Nimdzi Insights. Follow us, register as well by our next to our next webinar, which is going to be in June. And without further ado, Tucker, they're all yours.
Thank you so much, Sandra. All right, let's get right into it here. The topic of this webinar today is TMS Systems, a comparison. So this is what you've all logged in for, to hear us take a look at comparative analysis of different translation management systems. This is some work that we've been working on for quite some time, and the reason we decided to prioritize this particular subject in our research was because it's important, and it's something that is desperately needed in the industry, or needed more of. And we feel that what we're going to present today is somewhat of a new take on TMS benchmarking. One of the reasons it's important is because the technology is getting more and more complex, and with that we see the RFIs and the RFPs coming out from clients that are looking to purchase a TMS get more and more complex. We've talked to clients with over 300 different questions on their RFIs just for a technology vendor, as you can see here. So lots of different things to look at, lots of criteria to weight, and there's many different ways to compare TMS systems. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on who you talk to, it's not simple, because every situation is unique, and there is no one-size-fits-all strategy in the technology space. So if we move on to the next slide here, we can see that what is our answer to this? How do we respond to this? And our initial batch here of research consists of 5 different things. We have 2 reports that we've issued on the connector game, part 1 and 2. And this is taking a look at all the different connectors in the TMS space, which TMSs connect to which connectors, which third-party tools, what are some underserved areas in this space where technology companies could potentially go into. And then we have these 3 tools, which Kostya is going to get into later, which is the TMS overview, the integration map, and the TMS compare tool. All different ways of looking at and comparing features between different TMS systems. Moving on to the next slide, we see that, yep. So how did we go about this? This has been months worth of research, and I must give credit to our chief researcher, Kostya, who I will be turning over the floor to very briefly here. we've had a lot of conversations. We've done a lot of interviews and briefings with different technology companies. We've also done a lot of interviews with enterprise clients, so end buyers of translation management systems, so that we can really understand the space from both sides, from the provider side as well as from the buyer side. Out of that, we've come up with a list of criteria. Over 400 different criteria were looked at as part of the study. Some of these criteria and features, about 60 to 80 of which are different features of TMS, some of these are more important than others. Some of these are more obscure than others. We looked at all of them. Why? Because, as I mentioned earlier, there is no one-size-fits-all, and what may be important for me may not be important for you when comparing translation management systems. So we plan on, and once again, as we'll talk about, we're releasing this tool. It's really an ongoing process. It will be updated. We are continuing our research. We're adding technology systems to the tool. It's continuously being updated. There are some TMS systems which aren't in the tool, or they're in the research, but they aren't 100% verified. And those are clearly marked out when you see it online. And we're really excited because this is a new take on TMS comparison. Our goal here was to take this very, 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 very complex space and distill it into a way that's very user-friendly and very easy for people to have an apples-to-apples comparison. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my friend here.
Thanks, Tucker. Okay, so now we're going to go into the demo. And let me just quickly switch the screen. The access to the tool you can see on our website, nimdzi.com/TMS. Here's how it looks like. And it's a tool where you can compare TMS by your own criteria, because Tucker says there's no one size fits all strategy in TMS. On the right here you see the different TMS. At the moment we've mapped about 20 of them, and 10 are verified. And on the left you have different filters, how you can compare them. I'll scroll down a little bit and show you the filters that we have. At the bottom we have integrations, so connectors for web content management systems and website software will be under here. So let's say you want to find your ideal TMS. For example, you're managing a Sitecore website, so you can filter for the TMS that have a Sitecore connector. Then you look at your other requirements. Perhaps your other requirement is that the TMS is deployed on your own infrastructure, so it should be a private cloud. You can search for a TMS deployment model here. Okay, so we can go with private cloud or public cloud if you'd like. Other filters are referring to the translated workbench or CAT tool that most translation management systems have these days. Not everyone, but most. Project management features, for example, one feature that I think is important these days is an engine to adjust the length of the workflow automatically. And you can, for example, select this feature and you'll be left with 1 or 2 TMS remaining on the right side. And then you can contact those TMS and have each of them give you an extended demo, or you can hire a consultant to help with this process. So this is the main page. On top of this main page, we've built an integration map. I'm going to show it to you now. The integration map shows content management systems, machine translation systems, market automation systems, business management systems, and other software that translation management systems are integrated with. So I'll just slowly scroll down for you to see. As you can see, here are icons. with the system in question, and the number in parentheses is the number of TMS that say that they have this integration. The tool doesn't examine the level of integration, and of course, some TMS might have a better, more robust, faster integrations than the others. But for now, we're just reflecting a map, which ones are integrated with which ones. So you can see web and software systems here. Now I'll scroll down. Machine translation, business management, German memory banks, online folders, and we have a category for enterprise content management systems, document management systems, and product information management systems all in one. And it ends up with the last category, two last categories, market automation and support. Okay, so this is all open. Anyone can go here, have a look, find the systems mapped. Yes, so find the systems map, find which ones they can contact, and reach out to them to get more information on those. This is what anyone can access. You don't have to be a Nimdzi client. Now I'll show you the hidden part that is only available to those that have subscribed to Nimdzi. And this is a detailed comparison map. So let me just click on through this. Here, the interface is quite basic. You can select up to 4 translation management systems to compare at once. I've selected Crowdin, Across, MemSource, and Untime here. And you can select the criteria of comparison. If you don't want to go through all the 373 points of comparison, you may, for example, deselect supported file formats. Now just scroll down a little bit to show you how it looks like. So it's rows of tick signs. And for each category, we show how many features out of the maximum are supported. And this can be very, very long. I'll just scroll a little faster because we won't look through all of this at once. Depending on how many criteria you want to put in your comparison, you can eliminate some of them or just at a glance see which features are mapped in that TMS. That's the extent of the tool as it is now. In the future, we might integrate something with it if TMS themselves, for example, provide APIs that would show the usage, maybe the amount of words processed through their public cloud platform. Then it would be possible to show statistics on the market. Maybe they'll provide APIs that show how many words and which language are sourced through this TMS. And then it will be possible to track waves in supply and demand for different languages. Feedback would be much appreciated. We have the basic features you can compare. You can make your own selection of criteria how you want to go with it, and find the TMS that suits your needs, and then contact them for more details to really check if all the integrations are working, if the system is robust, if it goes fast on your infrastructure. I'm going to go back to my presentation now, and we're going to speak about the state of the market of TMS in comparison by size and a little bit by feature mapping.
And really quickly, let me just jump in while you're transitioning, Kostya. I want to make the point that these different resources that we've published, a lot of them are public. Some of them, like the TMS Compare Tool and Part 2 of the Connector Game Report, are for our Nimdzi partners exclusively. We feel that that's a way we can add extra value to them. But a lot of this is public information, so anybody can go in and play around with the TMS filtering and stuff. And we feel that that's important because it's something that we wanted to make sure that everybody in the industry has access to, and to a certain extent, at least. And the point of this webinar, we're going to get into some comparison of the TMS systems, but it's such a complex topic that the reason we wanted to show you the tool is so that you can go in and basically play with it yourself, because the features and the integrations that may be important for one person may not be important for another person. So it's difficult to cover in a 45-minute webinar. So thanks, Kostya.
Thanks, Tucker, for giving me a break. I've seen in the chat that there's a little bit of reverb with my voice. I hope it's better now. I've moved a little bit further from the microphone. So let me know if it's working for you. So just a little bit about the history of TMS. Translation member tools appeared around 1994. There's been 4 or 5 of them. And some of them were independent, like Multicorpor and Trados originally. Some were developed by LSPs, such as Transit. Later, LSPs acquired more of these tools. Management systems appeared in 1997. The 2 first systems that we know of are Global Site, which was later acquired by Velocalize, and Idiom, which was later acquired by SDL and is now called SDL World Server. The market went into hardcore development closer to 2000 with companies like XTM, launched in 2002, MemoQ, I think, 2005, Lingotech across systems in 2005 and 6. First, they developed desktop tools. There's been much investment around this era, and around 2010, the market went into the cloud era. For example, XTM deployed XTM Cloud version. And around 2010, 2009, and 2011, the first tools that were natively cloud appeared. SmartLink started out in 2009, I think, and over the next 4 or 5 years, they've seen $63 million of investment. We've seen Transifex marked TX on this map with $6.5 million in investment. MemSource, CloudWorks, a very interesting TMS that targets end buyers and doesn't have a built-in CAT tool, so it's like for professional community. The latest addition to the family is Cordoba. It's Indian American TMS, which targets development teams, not language services professionals per se. And they've seen their investment has reached about $10 million. I don't think it's possible to see what's on the right, right? I'll drag our window a little bit. So now we're entering the machine learning era, and I'm anxious to see more features with machine learning. I think everyone is interested in language industry AI. I haven't seen yet a system that would be native to machine learning era. Instead, the latest launches are translation management systems that target enterprises, the enterprise translation manager. So they have a reporting section, connectors, and then some way to offload the task to the LSP and have a continuous localization flow between the 2 of them. But what's really going to be interesting, it's the machine learning features that will pop up in the TMS of previous generation, and hopefully it will be interesting to see if a TMS that is native to machine learning will make its appearance on the market with AI capabilities that will be making decisions which translators to assign, what kind of workflow to have instead of the human translator. Okay, this is the as it is now. There are more than 100, maybe 150, 200 tools, depending on what you define as a TMS. We've identified 17 systems that TMS proper and are available both to enterprises, the buyers, and to the LSPs. There are many systems on the LSP side that are available only to the buyers together with the services. Another category here are the localization tools developed by localization, not localization, but by IT people for the development people. I think Crowdin, PhraseApp, OneSky started like that. Translation Exchange started like that, not by language professionals, but by IT people. And it's the bigger category. Some of the systems are quite simple, others are very complex. And I think it's an interesting space for the TMS proper to look out for, because these systems, they target developers who do not have any idea about localization. So they're increasing the market. We've mapped those systems, put them in different categories, and put them on an infographic, which will be released soon under the name of Language Technology Atlas or Landscape. It's ready. I think, Tucker, we can deploy it maybe next week or in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we're really excited about that.
Yeah, so there'll be an infographic of the logos, and Nimdzi partners will be able to get to the list behind that to select all the tools they might approach from a big list with about 500 tools, 400 or 500 tools that we've put there. Okay, so lots of systems, lots of choice. The market is now in a quite mature stage, but not all of them matter. Only a few of them are quite big in terms of user base and in terms of revenue. And Tarka will now speak about usage statistics and revenues for this market. I'm just trying to find a way where we can put this window with us so that it doesn't obscure the data. Okay, Tucker.
Great. I can see all the data just fine, hopefully, but I'm not logged in. So if you can't see, let us know. So we have some really interesting data that Kostya has collected for different markets, specifically around LSPs and TMS usage by LSPs. And as we can see here, it really depends upon the market. And sorry, I have a small distraction coming into my room here. So as we can see, Kostya, I'm going to let you take over this slide, please, really quick.
Sure, okay. This is different data sets that I've collected over my previous research. Europe and the UK are surveys for language service companies in United Kingdom, in France, in Finland, in the Baltic area. I asked which are the TMS that you use, and the companies can reply with a list of from 1 to sometimes 4 or 6 TMS and CAT tools that are at their disposal. SDL usually comes on top in every country. For Russia and Ukraine, I have a specific portal there that tracks the statistics, and in Japan we use the data from the JTF survey, which is very, very extensive. And I think it covered about 257 translation companies. Again, SDL is strongest there, and the list of underdogs in every country is split between MemoQ, MemSource, across WordBee and XTM. These are the numbers of companies, but it doesn't say which companies are big or small. For example, XTM is a little more expensive than MemSource, so when they close a deal, it's probably more revenue per deal, or could be often a bigger company that buys. Also, XTM, they target more enterprise space historically. So this usage statistics only reflect the usage by LSPs, and it's a little bit skewed towards small LSPs. So it should be viewed with this caveat in mind. Tucker, do you want to speak about this one, or I go on?
Yeah, thanks, Kostya. I just had a escaped child run into my office, so
No
I had to deal with that. It's like that CNN that went viral. You guys all know what I'm talking about. It was a BBC. Yeah. So, anyways, thank you, Kostya, for covering me during that time of crisis. So what we see here, what's really interesting, and this is information that's available for anybody on Google Trends. We just wanted to visualize it here because it kind of tells an interesting story. And that's where each of these different TMS systems, where people are searching for them. So this speaks basically to brand reputation, brand recognition, and it's interesting because it goes against the common the idea that I would think would be logical, which is that this is a global market and we deal with translation. So these different technologies, they shouldn't be focused in any specific area because of the global market. But what we really see is that there's a heavy concentration of brand recognition for each of these in the areas where they're most focused, which typically tends to be their home market. So if it's a United States-based company, then they have a much better brand recognition in the United States. More people have heard of them, more people are searching for them. If it's a European, say like a German company, then we see a heavy focus in that particular country and in the European Union. So what this tells me for technology providers out there is there's a lot of opportunity to enter new markets. And it doesn't, because of the global nature of this industry, it doesn't make a lot of sense just to be focusing on one market where you could, it's low-hanging fruit to expand into other markets and really take advantage of the global economy here. So let's move on. We're testing our new icons. So another interesting thing to look at here is there's different ways to measure a successful TMS or a popular TMS, right? And one thing to keep in mind is that popularity does not always equal revenue. And just because the TMS is very popular, very well known, maybe adopted by a lot of translators, it doesn't always equate into more revenue. It certainly doesn't hurt, right? But another thing to keep in mind here is that this isn't a huge space. The technology space within the global language services industry isn't massive, right? It's really less than 1% of the global translation, localization, language services market. And the companies that are growing the biggest that we see, over $10 million estimated, right? Research ongoing, are really the companies that are also offering services in addition to the technology. And this is something that we hear from more and more people as we're talking to them, is that selling technology, it gets you to a certain point, but in order to really scale and really start bringing in the big bucks, a lot of technology companies are looking for a way to add services on top of the technology. Not necessarily translation services, although that's, of course, the most common one, but different ways to add service to the technology. And what we're seeing is, on the LSP side, of course, is this idea of technology-enabled services offerings, which means that what they really want to sell is the services, but they have a technology that enables that and supposedly differentiates them from their competitors. And we can move on.
Yeah, moving on. Now we're done with the market size. The figures for this revenue and estimates are available in our hidden stash somewhere. I'm going to talk a little bit how to compare TMS. The first point I would like to address is that there are different perspectives on how you can do this and different stakeholders. The translators typically want a very powerful CAT tool. They don't care very much about the management component, so they need the CAT tool to adapt to them, to be personalized, customizable, to be very fast, maybe with lots of options for concordance, search for terms, auto-suggest, spell check, that kind of thing. Project managers on the LSP side want the CAT tool and the TMS to support multiple formats, to have some information on the translator quality. And this is an area which is not really addressed by most TMS out there, so that they could track the quality across a big pool of freelancers that they work with, and then pre-select the freelancers in an automated or semi-automated way for their respective projects, so that they don't have to rely on the knowledge of freelancers by each individual project manager. On the client side, automated end-to-end is important. So the enterprise localization departments, they usually want to organize this flow of content from the developers, marketing, legal, different requesters inside the company to the vendors, and they would like to control a reporting section. They would like to have client review in there. So these features are important. Invoicing and quality data on multiple freelancers might come second. The new stakeholders are non-core professionals, are not localization people. These are marketing people, developers, technical documentation people. Not every business has a localization manager, actually very few. But marketing people exist in a huge percentage of businesses. Software developers that make software, they exist in many businesses these days. So it makes sense to go to these people, but they have a different kind of requirement. They don't work in a TMS every day. That's not the core system. They would run a website, maybe. They would develop new strings, new code, and put it in an online repository. They would make technical documentation using an authoring tool. So for them, the most important thing is to have the translation offering in the background, working securely, effectively, from inside their own system. They might not want to log into TMS every day, but they want to continue doing what they're doing and to have the translation in the background. And for these people, TMS these days offer integrations, connectors, and it's the main game of competition, the connector game going between the different the systems. So I'll just quickly skip the slide. Here I have some mapping progress so far. As you've seen from the comparison tool that we have, we can make a list of functionalities that this or that system has. In the future, we plan to add some kind of index of weight to these features, so that, for example, if a system has a very important feature, like an intelligent workflow engine, that would be weighted more than some obscure feature that is not used by everyone, maybe by 1% of clients. We don't have it yet, so I just made a preliminary. This shouldn't be treated as a live version. This just shows how many features of each type this or that TMS has. So you have CAD features, and MemoQ server is leading there. The 2 CAD tools that they have, maybe even 3. Right, 3. PM features, surprisingly, multi-TMS is number 1, and the number of integrations, pre-built integrations. In blue here, you have integrations with website systems. In gray, it's empty integrations. And enterprise content and project information management. How do you call this color? It's teal, right? Teal. It's probably closer to teal. Anyway, so this is the number of pre-built integrations that the system claims that they have. The integrations are, of course, of all different levels. Some integrations work, some integrations are not very robust, break down, and just exist there as a name, nothing much. And many systems are integrated without a connector. They're integrated through APIs with some custom requirements. So it doesn't show the quality of integrations, but it shows how many are there. All right. And that's about it for comparison. Just finishing here, I'll go through the list of features that I think are interesting and will make an impact in the future. One of these features is GDPR compliance, which TMS achieve by identifying names in text, and then they can obscure those names for the translator. They can put a kind of token instead of the name. This way, there's no problem with storing data personal data in the memory. Other features, and I group here by the features in the editors, management component, integrations. Just quickly, in the management, it's quality evaluation and ability to track quality across a large number of freelancers. This is an underserved area. Payments made to freelancers is an underserved area, and this logic for the workflows, so that the system can adjust. Like, we don't have enough time to make a very long workflow this time. Let's cut the review process. This document has been translated 99% from translation memory, so there's no need for the translation step. We will just move it to proofreading maybe, and that would be enough. So that kind of intelligent workflow based on rules or on machine learning, that would be an interesting space for TMS to explore. In the integration space, the marketing integrations I think would matter a lot in the future, and e-commerce integrations, project information management system integrations. At the moment, the pre-built integrations for this segment is only available in 2 TMS, on-prem and the cross-language server. They control most of that space, and there's one middleware tool that has a significant number of integration in this sector. Might be a growing need to establish presence in the e-commerce sector. Okay. Moving on, Tucker, maybe we could go quickly through the fails of TMS.
Yeah, really quickly here. I want to keep an eye on time, but from my experience, we see I've seen TMSs fail, quote unquote, for different reasons, right? And when I say fail, I mean basically the end client was not happy. The LSP was not happy, the translator was not happy, or all three, nobody was happy with the services. And really what this I think this is because of the quick evolution happening in the industry right now. There's a lot of changes to keep up with. A lot of times though, what we see is lack of support. I think this is an area where most TMS companies can improve, and a quick way to differentiate yourself from the competitors for a TMS company would be to provide really high quality support, account management, because clients buy this big complicated tool, they have questions and they need to know who to come to. I'm not going to go through all of these. Another important thing that I'm seeing, which is becoming more and more important as we move forward, is user experience, UI design, usability. This is something that is absolutely crucial these days, and the new companies, the startups, the ones that haven't been around a lot, they get it, right? They get it. The tools look new, they look clean. As we see millennial buyers becoming managers and making decisions on which technology to use, this is something for the younger crowd has always grown up with easy to use iPhone app type products, and that's something that's more important. The last one I'm going to touch on is and this is kind of related to some other stuff, is the overpromising on performance. And this is something I've seen notable improvement in recently a lot, is this disconnect, this perceived disconnect a lot of times between sales and marketing of a TMS and the development and the actual production members of it, about what the features can actually do. And I know one, just a quick word of advice, which we all know, so it probably goes without saying, is that the one quick way to upset a customer is to overpromise on features and then not be able to deliver, right? And enterprise clients are becoming more and more skeptical and aren't willing to buy the line of, oh, we don't actually have that feature, but we're going to add it to our product roadmap and our development roadmap, and we're going to prioritize that, because they've been burned too many times. Too many times they've been promised that, and then it doesn't happen. So TMS companies that are interested in keeping their clients happy, if promises have been made to close the deal, that should definitely be prioritized. And like I said, this is the industry, the market is coming into its own. It's reaching an equilibrium, and we're working through all of this together. So that's just some quick observations. Thanks, Kostya.
Let's move on to trends, Raka. I start to start?
I start, you start.
Okay.
Oh, we're already here. Okay. Sorry, I thought I had a break here. So we're getting into the home stretch here, and Kostya, you can certainly add to this. But big trends and challenges. So where's the industry going? What is happening with the industry right now, or the market, the technology market in language services? And a lot of it is on the technological side, right? A lot of changes have been happening in the last 5-10 since the industry got started, right? Right now the big things are APIs and integrations and machine learning and artificial intelligence. This is the second point here, the machine learning and AI. This is something everybody's very excited about. And some tools are already incorporating aspects of machine learning and artificial intelligence into the technology, which is very exciting, right? But it hasn't reached that equilibrium. It hasn't reached that maturity yet. So there's going to be a lot of experimentation in the space. And what we think is going to be happening in the industry is that there's going to be a lot of innovation saying, hey, this is where we think the market's going, or this is where we think AI can be of use in this space. And not all of those ideas are going to stick, but some of them will, right? There's innovation happening. With the APIs and integrations, I was just talking, just gave a lecture the other day about integrations. And one of the things I said is that when you go to a technology website or a provider website and you want to look at their stuff, the most important page on their website is the integrations section. I want to know, when I'm looking at a new technology, does it play nice with the technologies and the softwares and the systems that I'm already using? And this is something that future-minded technology providers are already taking into account. Not just, can our technology integrate with your technology, but can it integrate in such a way where you don't even have to leave your native environment of the technologies you're already using?
I'll jump in quickly, Tucker.
Please.
I'll give a few specific examples that are interesting, like for me, maybe not the official Nimdzi point of view, but to add some specifics. What was really interesting for me is that in the last few years, software that was launched as a simple localization tool could grow and mature, and the feature set in companies like Crowdin, for example, or MemSource, or PhraseApp, it's maturing. And that means they're going to pose more competition to the top systems that sell to the enterprise sector. Crowdin is going to rule out an enterprise version of the software, and they're going to be, 10 times less expensive than the next competitor. Another thing that I think is impressive is what SmartCat did with the payment processing feature. They could go to small LSPs and build a good business with them and grow really fast by charging a commission on the payments that these LSPs make to the freelancers. So instead of charging per user, they could get money from these small LSPs by taking a cut from the payment to the translator. And of course, each LSP pays a lot to the translator every month. Per word pricing model will be very, very important looking in the future, because there'll be fewer users using the TMS, because
Okay, Kostya froze, so I'm going to interrupt him then. We're talking about per word pricing, and what we see right now, talking to different folks in the industry, doing our briefings and doing our research, is that pricing is definitely an area where there is room for an evolution. Some would even say room for disruption. And a lot of technology companies are looking for a way to change their pricing model. And this is an area that's going to be very interesting to watch moving forward, because there's so many different ideas out there. And basically, we need to find a way that's sustainable for not just the technology companies, but also for the end clients. Because especially in the lower end space in this industry, we're seeing a lot of downward pricing pressure. people, businesses in particular, are a lot less willing to spend a lot of money for technology today than they were 5 years ago, or they were 10 years ago. And especially in this space because of the increased competition that we've seen. Kostya, welcome back.
I'm back, Tucker, but the thing is, the weather in Prague has changed, and it's hail and heavy rain started to
All right. I'm going to take over from our friend Kostya here. So really quickly, just to wrap everything up here, what we see is a lot of new ideas, a lot of innovation in this space, driven in large part because there's a lot of companies that have come on the scene within the last 5 years. This boom of the language technology startup, particularly in the last 5 years, those companies are starting to mature. They're starting to mature their service offering and their technology and become real contenders in this space. So what's happening is they're driving innovation because in order to stay competitive, then everybody's having to come out with new features and basically go back to the drawing board and reassess what is it to be a language technology provider? How do I make money on that? How do I make sure the clients are getting the best service? And how am I fulfilling their needs? So very interesting space to watch right now. We're certainly watching it, as you saw with the tools that we presented earlier, that we already have some information out there, some data that's available for everybody. We want to share that, so please take a look. Feedback is welcome, particularly if you're from a technology company and you'd like to discuss that. Please give us a call. You can either reach out to Kostya or you can send an email to info@nimdzi.com. And we're really excited to keep reporting on this space. And Kostya, are you back?
I seem to be back. The hail is subsiding a little bit, but I don't know how stable it's going to be. Let's try with the questions.
Okay.
Exactly. We have a couple of actually questions on both YouTube and Facebook. So who? I guess I'm gonna go for Tucker. Tucker, would you like to take a few of the questions? So
I'll take the easy ones.
I'm going to take actually one that I think Kostya was already kind of looking to cover for Roman Sofianos, who was wondering about Global Link.
Yeah, Global Link, we've checked the connectors and they contacted us, so we'll probably be able to add them in an observable future, like in the next couple of weeks. I hope so.
Thank you. Can I also, Luigi Musi asks, could you list PM features, please?
Luigi, you can check out the PM features yourself on the comparison tool. So nimdzi.com/TMS, and the PM features are listed starting with the PM access. Let me just quickly go through that list. I'll try to share my screen again. I think the weather is more benevolent to me now. So, sharing screen. So here, the PM features would be on the PM workbench. Project, workflow features, vendor management features. I also have customer portal, but I didn't include customer portal in that specific comparison because I think that the core features like projects and workflows and vendor management are more important. And you have security features here, such as two-factor authentication, certification by ISO, by SOC 2 Type 2, user activity log. So I invite you to explore this and see for yourself. It's pretty detailed, and when we go with a TMS company, they usually find features that they don't have, or they can think of that might be useful for their system. So this is a more of a Swiss Army knife approach that the TMS should have everything. Of course, the new TMS are not like that. They're probably one feature that can be integrated into a bigger platform. So I think this comparison works really well for these bigger platforms that will absorb the smaller features in. Sandra?
Thank you, Kostya. I think we have another question there for Twitter. Let me actually collect it. Sorry, I just lost it there for a minute. One tiny second. Bob Donaldson is asking us about XDRF.
XDRF we mapped under business management software for now. It doesn't have a CAD component. It's mostly used by LSPs to manage the business. In the future, we might reconsider or probably rank XDRF against similar systems such as PlueNet or FlowFit or what else is there? Translation projects.
Thank you. I'm going to go back again to YouTube for a question from Elisa Rivero, who asks, please explain the difference between checkmark versus question mark. She also wonders about Sendex and what would be TMS or connector for this.
If it's not on the integration map, that means none of the systems that we've mapped so far has this integration. So there is a support integration list. Let me show you. It's at the bottom, so please bear with me while I scroll. I know that Renato doesn't like when things scroll fast. So too fast.
Too fast.
Zendesk,
Too fast.
5 companies have integrations with Zendesk. 5 TMS of those that we've mapped.
Thank you, Kostya.
I hope that answers the question. No?
Oh, the question about the check mark versus question mark.
Yeah.
So right now,
that will take well. There is the tick mark for the feature that is there, and the gray for the feature that is not there. Basically that.
So, I think that question also could be pertaining to the different TMS systems, and that they're either in verified status or they're still in pending status, right?
Yeah.
And as I mentioned earlier, we're releasing this as a beta version, and some of the TMS systems that are listed in here the information has not been verified yet. So it's not complete. So we wanted to mark that very clearly so it's not so that it's very evident.
I'm going to show this.
Yeah. See?
So green is verified and gray is incomplete.
Right. And it's only fair to those TMS companies that we mark those as incomplete until we have a chance to really verify that information, because we don't want potential buyers, for example, comparing them to other technologies, because it may not be a fair comparison at this time. So if you're on the phone and you're from one of these companies with the question mark, reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you.
I actually was going to say that just go to our website where it says contact us, and please leave a description saying, hey, please, I see that we are on incomplete, and here is the email of the person, or contact me for more, and then we will be reaching out to you. So please do go ahead and do that. Let me see if there are any other questions that we haven't gone through. I think that another question as well was why is PlueNet not included as a TMS? Yeah, but we have already. I mean, you want to go
covered
through?
That, yeah, we'll cover
yeah,
that.
Exactly.
Really quickly, I mean, if someone answered the question, that means we didn't cover it well enough, right? So, can you summarize, Kostya?
Yes. So we consider PlueNet and XDRF a little bit different class of systems. Not language management, but business management for LSPs, although they're used by enterprise clients as well in some cases. But primarily, this is an LSP system. So we might compare them, but at a later stage.
Very good. Sandra, I think we got time for one more question.
Was that everything?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's pretty much all the questions that we cover today, guys. Do please keep leaving your questions there in the sections. We will be reviewing after that we have finished the webinar. So if you have any other question, just leave it there. And with 6 minutes to go for the end of our webinar, we would like to thank absolutely everybody for reaching. Thank you very much for engaging. Thank you for sharing in social media, guys. Thank you very much as well for Tucker and Kostya for preparing this webinar. Again, any questions after this, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're available in YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, or just go to our website and fill in the form at the contact us page. Remember that we have another webinar on the 13th of June. We're going to be talking about inbound marketing for LSPs, and this time we're going to have Renato and Constantine talking about LSP campaigns and processes to develop content and how to get the most out of with marketing automation tools. So we look forward to automation tools. Sorry.
Sorry.
Thank you. So yeah, we look forward to see you there, guys. Thank you so much. We hope that this webinar was useful. Enjoy the rest of your day, your evening, and we'll see you again on the 13th of June.
Thanks, and leave us feedback. Did you like this tool? Is it useful for you? I'm very, very interested because we've invested some time in building profile. One TMS takes at least 4 or 5 hours. Two of which are intense demoing, and I'd like to see if this kind of effort is useful for you when you run your RFPs or comparison.
Thank you very much, guys. We wish you a wonderful day, and we'll wrap it up. Ciao.
Bye.